Shalom. Today's Filmi is Sanhedrin Kuf Beis, Sanhedrin 102. And so today's Filmi is dedicated for a Shemir for the Chayalim, a Torah for the Shvuyim, and a Yeshua for Am Yisrael in this Eis Tzara. So the Gemara tells us on today's Daf Yomi why Yehu, who was a righteous king, why he allowed them to continue to worship the idolatry of Yeravim ben Nevat. So the Gemara says that Rava says, Rava Amar Chosmo Shel Achia Shiloni Ra. He saw that the prophet Achia Shiloni had signed off on it. And so once he saw Achia had signed off on it, so he made a mistake. So we see from here that Achia himself was tricked into approving Yeravam's golden calves. So what's the source for this idea? Dichsiv, because it says in the pasuk in Hosea, V'shachata seitim, when it relates to the slaughtering, seitim hemiku, the strayers went deeper. V'ani musar l'kulam, and I will rebuke all of them. So Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God said, Heim hemiku mishali, that the Yeravim ben Nevat, with the idolatry, he actually went beyond me. Ani amarti kol she'enu olel regel over ba'aseh. I said, whoever doesn't make the pilgrimage to Jerusalem, to the temple, is in violation of a positive commandment. They said, whoever actually makes the pilgrimage to the temple will be killed with a sword. They wouldn't allow anybody to go. And the Gemara says, how was Achia switched? How was Achia tricked? So the Gemara discusses that Yeravam met Achia, and Achia told Yeravam that he would become king. So Achia, Yeravam went out from Jerusalem, and Achia found him on the way. He was wearing a new robe. This is in the book of Kings. So the Gemara says, Tanim Shem Rabbi Yossi, Ace he mizumenes leperonios. Because at that moment, it was a time that was set up to be a bad time. And the Gemara now is going to give several examples of other fateful moments. But Ace Pekudo Samuel Veduk. It says in the pasuk in Jeremiah that at the time of their visitation, they will go lost. Tanim Shem Rabbi Yossi, Ace mizumenes leperonios. And that was a reference to, it was an appropriate time for punishment. In an hour of favor, I will answer you. It's a moment predestined for good. It's from Isaiah that there will be a future redemption. On the day I make an account, I will bring their sin to account against them. It's a time appropriate for misfortune. It's a time appropriate for misfortune. And so Rechavam went to Shem, for all of Israel come to Shem to make him the king. It's a time predestined for misfortune. In Shem, they violated Dina. In Shem, the brothers sold Joseph. In Shem, the kingdom of David was split. So all these bad things happened in Shem. So the Gemara is now going to go into these psukim. What happened? The Yeravim went out from Jerusalem. He went out from the destiny of Jerusalem. So Achia, and Achia found him. Achia Shiloni, Anavi found him. The two of them were alone in the field. What does it mean by Sama Chadasha, a new robe? Amrav Nachman, his Sama Chadasha. Yeravim's Torah was like a new robe. Ma Sama Chadasha Emo Shum Dofi. After Rav Amoya Bashum Dofi. Yeravim's Torah had no defect whatsoever. At the time he was appointed king, Yeravim was worthy. That's what the Maharsha says, even though it became bad. Davar achar salma chadasha shechidshu dvarim shalashama ozimilum. Achia and Yeravam were creating new ideas that had never been heard before. Umay shneim levadim basadeh. What does it mean? Both of them were alone in the field. What does that mean? Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav Shekol Talmidei Chachamim Domel Lefneim Ke'isvei Asada. All the Torah scholars were like grass in the field compared to them. Ikad Amar Shekol Talmidei Torah Megulin La'em B'Sadeh. All the reasons of the Torah were revealed to them. Then the Gemara says, V'chein titni shiluchim al moreshet gat v'tei achziv v'achzav v'malchei Yisrael. Therefore, because you gave discharges to Moreshet Gat, basically the 10 tribes are being rebuked for abandoning David's dynasty in favor of Yeravam. So therefore, the pasuk says in Micah, because you gave discharges to Moreshet Gat, so therefore the batim, the houses of Achziv, shall be a disappointment. Achzav v'malchei Yisrael. Amar Rabbi Chanina bar Papa Yatza Baskol v'Amar Lahan Ma Misha Aragas Apushti v'Orish Islam Gat New Shiluchim Levanav. The one who killed the Philistine, i.e., David, and gave his descendants Gat, you are going to discharge his descendants. You're sending them away. That's how you repay him. What does that mean? So the Gemara tells us that means that the house of falseness, i.e., the 10 tribes, will fall to those who stray after falsehood, i.e., idolaters, in favor, because they abandoned David's heirs in favor of the kings of Israel. Yeravam was the cause of the problem. Whoever benefits from this world is not a blessing. It's as though he robs God as well as the Knesset Israel. As it says, Gozo Ava V'imo V'omer Ein Pasha Chaver Hu Ish Mashlis. If somebody robs his father and mother and says there is no such thing as sin, he's a chaver to the ish mashchas, to a destructive person. Ve'ein aviv el kadosh baruch hu. Aviv is God, as it states, "V'alohu avicha kanecha." Ve'ein imo el knesses Yisrael, and his mother is knesses Yisrael. It says, "Shema b'ni musar avicha v'al titash titosh terasamecha." Ma chaver hu ish mashchas. What does it mean? He's a companion to a destructive man. Chaver hu Yeravam ben Nevat. He's a companion to Yeravam sheishchas Yisrael avim sheb'shemaim, caused destruction between the Jewish people and their Father in heaven. So Yeravam caused them to depart from God and to worship, and he did a great sin. It's like two sticks that are knocked together, and one sends the other one flying into the air. So now the Gemara says, since we're discussing the golden calf set up by Yeravam ben Nevat, the Gemara refers to the sin of the Ego Azav. It says in the beginning of Devarim, it says, Di Zahav. In Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 1, it says that God spoke to the Jewish people, and one of the places was Di Zahav. So Amru Dvei Rabbi Yanai, Amar Moshe Ufnei HaKodesh Baruch Hu, Moshe said to God, Ribono Shalom, B'shvil Kezav Azav Sheshpata on Yisrael At Yom Rudai, Garam La'asos Lamol HaZahav. You caused the golden calf because you gave them too much money. Mashal Ein Ari Dores V'Noe Mitoch Kupa Shal Tevin. A lion's not going to roar and claw to get a basket of straw. Only Mitoch Kupa Shal Basar, but only because he has meat. And so therefore, if a lion only has straw, don't worry about it. Amar Rabbi Hoshaya, Ad Yeravam Ayu Yisrael Yonkim. Up until the time of Yeravam, the people were suckling from one calf. From then on, they had 2 or 3 calves. Meaning to say, they're now going to be punished for 3 calves, not just one. There's no punishment that comes to the world that doesn't have 1/24 of a litra from the sin of the golden calf. It says, I will remember your sin. After 24 generations, this verse was paid up. Shenemar veikrabas ne kol gadol emor karvu pekudot za'ir mishkli mashcheso biyado. Called in my ears with a loud voice, saying, "The city's accounts draw near, each man with his weapon of destruction." Achar davar azel shav Yeravam midako Rabba. Yeravam still did not go back. Amar Mayach. What does it mean after what? So Amar Rabbi Abba Achar shetafso Hakadosh Baruch Hu Yeravam b'vigdo. After God grabbed Yeravam by his garment, Amar Chazor b'cha, repent. V'ani v'atau ben Yishai netal b'gan Eden. He says, repent, and you and Ben Yishai and I will stroll together in the Garden of Eden. Amar lo mi berosh, who's the first? Ben Yishai berosh. God said, David will be first. Yehachi will be now. I don't want it. So you see that the source of all sin is arrogance. He could have been walking with God in the Garden of Eden, but since he wasn't first, he wasn't ready to do it. Rabbi Avo Ave Ragil David Kadosh B'Shloshim Malachim. Rabbi Avo used to expound about the three kings. That was his practice. He used to teach about it. So Choash, one time he got sick. Kibo Evo Darish. So he assumed he was being punished for just talking about how wicked these kings were, so he stopped doing it. Kivan the Itpach, but once he recovered, Harder Kadarish. He returned to doing it. Amr, his student said, "Look, then you say you're not going to do it." Amr, Inumi Adrabu, the Ana Adarbe. He said, "Did they do tshuva, so I should stop?" Another story. Rav Ashi, Uki Ashoshem Rav Ashi was talking about the three kings. Amar Umachar Niftach B'Chavrin. He says, tomorrow we'll start with our colleagues, i.e. the three kings. So also Menashe is Chazle B'Chamas. The Menashe came to him in a dream. Amar Chavrech, the Chavrech Davuch Karitzlan. You refer to us as your colleagues, the Chavre and the colleagues of your father. Let me ask a question. From what part of the bread are you supposed to make hamotzi? You don't even know that. So Amalei, well, Yadana, I don't know. If you don't know where you're supposed to break up motzi from, the Chavre Karislan, and you call us our colleagues, Amalei, teach me. And tomorrow I'll teach it in your name in front of everyone. Amalei, Mecha de Karim Bishua, from the part that's baked into the crust, i.e., if you have a cut loaf in front of you, you should recite the bracha, break off a piece, and then, rather than from the center. There's different opinions about it. Sarvachi says to him, since you're so wise, why are you worshiping idolatry? If to Ravashi, if you were there, the taiva was so great, you would have held on to the bottom of my garments and run after me. The next day, Ravashi said to Rabbanan, let's start with a discussion about our teachers, not about our colleagues. Achav was Shemayim. Achav means Ach was Shemayim, a brother to heaven, but a father to idolatry. He's a father to idolatry because he says like a person who has mercy on his children. And he loved idol worship as deeply as the father loves his children. And his most trivial deed was to follow the sins of Yeravam. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, the light sins that Achav did were like the severe sins that Yeravam did. Why did the pasuk attribute them to Yeravam? It should say follow the sins of Achav, because he was the first. Also, your altars are like heaps on the furrows of the field. There's no furrow in the whole land which Achav did not set up an idol and worship it. And how do we know he's not coming in the world to come? It says, "V'chrati Achav mashtim bekir matzur v'azuv b'Yisrael." Hatzur b'olam hazeh, azuv b'olam haba. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Mimnei ma zacha Amri l'malchus. Why did Amri merit the kingship? Mimnei shehosif kracha chaberetz Yisrael. So, because he added on one city in the land of Israel, it states, "Vayiken es ahar shomro me'eis shemer b'kechem kesef vayiven es ahar." They cry Shemar asher banasham shemer adonai ahar shomro. So Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Nema zacha Achav b'malchus esrim shtayim shana. Achav was so wicked. What was his merit that he married the kingship for 22 years? Well, because he honored the Torah, which was given to the people through 22 letters. As it states, as it states, Ben Hadad of Aram basically invaded Israel and besieged the capital. Vayomer Lakomar Hashem Ben Hadad Kaspacho Lihu V'Nashach V'Nacha Tovi Lihem. And Ben Hadad sent messengers to Achav. He said, "This is what Ben Hadad says: your silver and your gold, they belong to me, and your wives or your children, they're mine." And Achav responded, "Everything that I have is yours." And then Ben Hadad said, when he said, "Ki im keis machar shlachas avdi o Achav v'chapsuas beischa v'espatei avadecha." At this time tomorrow, I'll send my servants to you, and they're going to search your houses. They're going to take whatever they delighted. And Achav sent to messengers of Ben Hadad. Imru Adoni Amel, Kol Asher Shalachto Avdecha Barishona Aseh. V'Davar Zeh Lo Chal Asot. He says, but this thing I can't do. What's Machmad Necha that he refused to give? Lav Sefer Torah. Achav refused to give the Torah scroll. So he was willing to give his own wives and children, but not the Torah scroll. Maybe it refers to idolatry. Don't say that because it says, all the elders and all the people don't listen and don't obey. Maybe they were shameful elders. So maybe they were bad elders. The Gemara says, no, don't say that. Weren't these shameful elders? So the Gemara says, no. All the people. There were some more righteous. There were 7,000 who remained that did not worship Baal. Achav was balanced. He said, who will entice Achav so he goes up and falls at Ramot Gilad? One to dust and the other to dust. Maskavar Yosef, man the Kosev Bey, Rako, Ayaka, Achav Asher, it's Makera, so the Rabbi Neo Shem Asher, Istata Oso, Izevel Ishto. It says, there was never anyone like Achav who told himself to do evil with his wife, Izevel instigating him. Every day she would weigh out gold for idolatry. And you say that he was balanced, he was wicked. He was liberal with his money. Because he was generous to Torah scholars, half of his sins are forgiven. And so the spirit came forth and said before God, I will seduce him. God said, with what? He said, I'll be a lying spirit in the mouth of his prophets. God said, go and you will prevail. Go out and do so. My ruach, which is the spirit? Amar Rabbi Yochanan, rucho shel Navos HaYisraeli. The spirit of Navos the Israeli, who was killed by Achav. Might say, what does it mean go out? Amarav, Vina Tzema Mechitzasi. Go out from my environs. King Siv, Dover Shkarim will yikol negedei. One who speaks falsely will not be established in front of me. Amar Papa Anu Damri Inchi, Defara Kine Machra Bese. One who gives desire for his vengeance destroys his house. And Achav made an Asherah, and Achav did more to anger God than all the kings who came before him. Amar Yochanan Shekasav called to Athos Shamron. Achav wrote on the doors of Shamron. Achav kafar be'ohei Yisrael. Achav has denied the God. Okay, so therefore there's no portion in God. Bikesh es achazayo ve'okedu v'mitchabe b'Shamron. So Achav's grandson was Achaziyahu, and Achaziyahu, Yehu saw that Achaziyahu and captured him, and he was hiding in the Shamron. Amar B'Levi Shayakoder Azkaros. Achaziyahu was scratching at the name of God because the Avodas Kachavim Tachteim was writing idolatry in their place. Menashe. So what did Menashe do wrong? Shenasha Yah. He forgot God's name. Because Israel to be forgotten to their Father in heaven. Yeah, we know it's going to get a share. So Man Achav, who is Achav? Ma Achav en Ochel Kababa, Af Menashe en Ochel Kababa. Just like Achav has no share in what come also Menashe does. Yehuda says Menashe Yesh Ochel Kababa. I don't know, because it says Veitpelel Aviyasero. Because the daven, then he was forgiven. Okay, let's stop here, but this is the daf only for Shabbos, and we won't do it Sunday morning, but we'll do it Sunday afternoon.